Okay, I do believe that we are in the chat and in the workshop.
We're live, let's go.
All right, hi everyone. Welcome to the Center for Students with Disabilities. I'm Stephanie Lewis. I am your host today. I'm going to be joined by two of my colleagues that will tell you a little bit more about our center and what we do and how we support students at Santa Monica College. So we're so happy you're here. Few things, this session is being recorded. So if you miss some of it or have a question, you'll be able to go back to the SMC website and check out this broadcast later. We have a discussion chat thread over on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you want to put some questions in there, we will get to those questions as soon as possible. So right now, I'm going to turn it over to our first presenter, Leticia Montoya, who is one of our wonderful counselors in the Center for Students with Disabilities, and she's going to introduce what we do and how you get connected to us.
Thank you, Stephanie. Welcome to SMC and welcome to the Center for Students with Disabilities. So, access disabilities in those such categories as deaf and hard of hearing, visual impairment, physical disability, and learning. In terms of the services that we apply to students is academic counseling, some technology supports, note-taking, and on exams, additional support classes, personal counseling with a licensed therapist, and under the this are including the High Training Center, Acquired Brain Injury Program, and Deaf and Hard of Hearing. Ask Stephanie to take us to our website where you can find all of this information and more, including links to some of the forms that you need to submit to apply and contact information, which is very important. So I'll wait till that page opens up and then I can kind of walk everyone through. For student support screen, you should see a drop-down menu appear, and you'll want to select the option that states Disability Resources. So once there, you'll find, a lot of information about our program and the various sub-programs that fall under disability, as well as the contact information. Some of these things I've mentioned already. And so as Stephanie scrolls down to the services, how to receive services, that's very important. I want to highlight there because I'm assuming most of you attending today are new and want to know how to register with our program. So in order to do so, it's very important to complete, if you look at step number 2, complete and return the Center for Students with Disabilities application form. If you click on that form, which Stephanie won't do now, but just it is a fillable PDF and you could, or she is opening it so you can kind of get a look at the information requested. You can fill it out. Don't forget to sign it, and then you would submit it to our office. We would need that along with item number 3, which is the Student Rights and Responsibilities form, which also is a fillable form, and you can sign directly there and then submit that as well. in addition to your verification of disability. This could include an IEP or some kind of assessment report, a letter from a doctor stating the diagnosis. If you are not sure about the type of documentation you have would qualify or not, we would welcome you to submit whatever you have, along with the application form and the rights and responsibilities, and then schedule an appointment to meet with the counselor so that we can review all of the documentation provided, and then, if needed, request additional information. So the contact information for the Center for Students with Disabilities is item number 1. So you can either email us at dsps@smc.edu or call the phone number listed. At the moment, I don't believe anyone's answering the call, so you would just leave a message with your name and the best contact number to reach you, and somebody would get back to you right away to set up that appointment. All right, during that appointment, we would complete, again, the intake and go over, provide further orientation to the program, and how to request term, and then possible referrals to other offices. So with that, I'm going to actually hand it off to George, who's the lead for the Learning Disabilities program.
Hello, everybody. My name is George Markopoulos, and thank you, Leticia. Good job. We're doing something new here and finding our way. So thanks for your patience. And I understand that some of you had the same problem I did and had a little bit of difficulty hearing Leticia. But hopefully it's not the same with me. Leticia, in the beginning, you were kind of going out a little bit, but the last part came through clearly. So thank you for your comments, everybody, and we'll hope this goes smoothly. I'm a learning disability specialist, and it's a little bit unique how we run our program, because most places the learning disabilities program wouldn't be separate in any way from the Center for Students with Disabilities. And we're not really separate. We're all part of the same group under the umbrella of the Center for Students with Disabilities, but for different reasons, mainly because we make up such a large percentage of 40% of the Center for Students with Disabilities or students with learning disabilities. So there's 800 students in our program, and so we've separate location. We're located on the 3rd floor of the Student Services building, and one day hopefully we'll be back in there, and you can see it for yourself. It's a nice space where students are encouraged to come in and use the computers in there, and there's study space. And we have a classroom where we teach our classes. So hopefully sooner rather than later, you can come in and see that workspace, because I think that's designed to be a good space to support. Now, what's a little bit unusual is, and we work through this ourselves, is who's exactly eligible for the learning disabilities program. So the people that are eligible for the learning disabilities people are students that have documentation that says learning disability. And usually this is through a high school IEP, where if your designation is a learning disability, it'll say SLD, specific learning disability, somewhere on that documentation. And then that would make you eligible, or actually you'd be directed by a counselor in the Center for Students with Disabilities to come to us. You may also have documentation from some private testing professional who diagnosed you with a learning disability, and that documentation could then be sent to us to see if you're eligible. Some students have a 504 plan from high school that would work as well, that says it's because of a learning difference. Anyway, there's a lot of gray area sometimes, and so what's important is that you send your documentation. We'll evaluate it and let you know if you're eligible for the learning disabilities program. If you're not, then you just be eligible through the Center for Students with Disabilities if you have another documented disability. We offer the exact same services. There's really no difference. In fact, our students also go to the Center for Students with Disabilities because they do academic counseling there. You can see any counselor on campus. There's different special programs that have academic counselors. There's general counseling. You can go anywhere, but it's great. Our counselors are fantastic, and I usually encourage our students to go there. But sometimes if you're part of another special program, you may go to academic counseling through another program, which is fine. But I think in this environment, it's a question of, okay, well, how do I get signed up? Where's the right place to go? And sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating because you're trying to communicate via email with the offices, and starting off with the right paperwork and understanding how the process works can really facilitate the process where it goes a lot more smoothly and a lot more quickly. So similar to what Alicia was saying, there's some paperwork that if you submit in the very beginning, a lot faster. So she talked about the rights and responsibilities stage. That's something that we would also need in the Learning Disabilities program. But we also have our short intake form that's a fillable form. And there's a documentation that you'd want us to send you. So if Stephanie will go to our webpage, I can show you, and this is a place you can visit because I know I'm talking fast and it's a lot of information, but if you go back to our webpage, you can review this, and we have a how-to video posted there that'll show you that you can access. So going to the page, on the left tab, you can see there's a Learning Disabilities tab, which Stephanie just pushed. And then when you go to the Learning Disabilities program, she's scrolling down. And then, by the way, this is a brand new website, so we're still updating it and kind of filling information in. But that's me, by the way, in that picture. It's just kind of a welcome video. But what I want to draw your attention to is the new student with a documented disability. So if we expand that button, when she clicks here, there's a little video on here that tells you exactly what you need to do to sign up, and it works the fastest way. So go ahead, Stephanie, let's play this so you guys can see what the process is, and then you can come back here. So this is information for students with documented learning disability. And then how do I sign up? This is a pretty quick little video, so I think it gives you all the information. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of small for me. So in the documentation, email all your paperwork to ld@smc.edu. And that's what the email address we respond to and get back to you usually right away. If you send us all that information to that email address, then we'll get back to you, set up a Zoom appointment, and then sign documents, and it'll go really fast. So I think just go ahead and review that video, and if you have any questions, you can just ask it at ld@smc.edu, and we'll respond. But if you gather those three things, and you can see down at the bottom, there's the short intake form application that's just unique to our program, the rights and responsibilities that we talked about for the Center for Students with Disabilities. We ask that you just sign it again, and then your documentation. So that can be your high school IEP, whatever it is that you have that documents a learning disability. If you just send all of that to us, that's a great start to all squarely set up in the first week of school. So that would be great, because once you become eligible for the program and signed up, we can put in place all the accommodations, and those accommodations will be determined based on the meeting that we have with you after you get your paperwork in. So Leticia talked about some of those, but The ones that are probably most popular with students with learning disabilities are extra time on exams, which is pretty much pervasive throughout the program. Having your books digitized, so e-text, so you can listen to your books, audiobooks. Think about that. If that's something you think would be helpful to you, bring that up, because many high school students, that would be something to be helpful to them, but their school maybe didn't have a program that really made that available. And there's a lot of things. So we'll just go down the list and talk about them individually with you when we set up the appointment, when we get all your paperwork in. One of the other things that we do that I encourage you before we start school is we do have study strategy classes, and those are also listed on the website. If you can go over to the left-hand tab, and I think there are, let me see if this link works actually. They listed here, study strategy classes. So here they are, Counseling 51, and this is listed in the overall course schedule of classes. Later we'll have a smaller schedule posted, but you can find all these classes in the schedule of classes posted by the school. So Counseling 51 is test taking and memory. Counseling 52 is textbook and memory. These are all 8-week classes that are 1-unit classes. They're not transferable units, but they count towards Promise, SMC Promise, and financial aid and things like that. And they're just really good classes to develop your learning skills. As we scroll on down, you can see there's phonics, spelling, and vocabulary development, organizational strategies, and written language strategies, listening and note-taking and memory. So these are really good classes where they meet for 8 weeks, twice a week for an hour. And if you can just get some good ideas, these are ideas that will then transfer to courses. And that's a lot about what being a student with has learning differences, is finding things that work for you. And I think this is the beginning point. You're starting off in college. It is a big transition to where you have to become, I think, the expert of your own learning. And we're here to partner with you in that. But for the most part, you have to try new things and figure out what works for you. Because for many students with learning differences, it's the traditional learning techniques may not be effective. And we can give you suggestions, but in the end, you're with yourself all the time. You think about and are aware of what your strengths, your weaknesses are, things that you have difficulty with. And so you really need to begin the process of becoming the expert of your own learning difference and investing in things like technology, but also learning strategies that develop your capabilities as a learner. And being exposed to these strategies can help you, and you won't do them exactly as they're taught to you, but you can borrow from these different strategies, make them your own, and figure out what works best for you. And so I think that's the big challenge for you as you make this transition, to really commit to becoming the expert of your own learning difference and developing a tool chest as you progress through college and then on into work. You have a lot of strategies that you go to that you've tried and work for you. We're running out of time here, so let me just wrap up by saying we also do, during normal times, we test students for learning disabilities. So students that don't have existing documentation, there's a how-to video there also, and for continuing students as to get those services. We're currently not doing any testing because that requires one-on-one sitting across a table to complete that. But at some point in your educational career, you may want to update your testing, or if you're in this, right now, maybe you don't have documentation and you think you might have a learning disability, you can contact us at ld@smc.edu. We can go through the intake process, and then when we begin testing again, when we go back to campus, we can make that available. So that's a great service. It's free. And with that, we'll have questions at the end. I'm sure you guys may have some questions. I've already seen some really good questions. We'll do our best to answer those. So Stephanie will take it from here and talk about some of the other programs within the Center for Students with Disabilities. So thank you, Stephanie.
Okay, hi everyone. I apologize. I know some folks have said the audio has been a little bit janky. I'm not quite sure how we can remedy that. As George said, this is kind of a new platform for us to do some presenting, so we're kind of working out the kinks, so thanks for hanging in there with us. Just very quickly, I'm going to talk to you about some special programs that we have within the Center for Students with Disabilities. And when you meet with your counselor, they can review more specifically if these are things that you might be able to access. One is our high-tech center is a wonderful resource for you that's part of the Center for Students with Disabilities. We have staff that work in there that are experts in technology, both in hardware and software. They teach specialized classes to help you learn more about how to access a computer, how to get and navigate through Canvas, which is the online classroom, if you will, even how to set up your student email. So they are there to help you kind of one-on-one through some of the technology challenges that you might have, and to give you ideas of other technology that can support you, whether it's hearing your textbooks read aloud or dictating software so that if you have difficulty writing, you're able to say what you want. These technology options are even available for you to take your exams if that's your preference. So we have a wonderful staff there that our counselors can connect you to. We do have some specialized classes, like George said. Some are taught by the learning disability specialist, study skills classes. We have a few others that are more transitional to talk about independent living skills and other types of sort of intro to college 101 type things. So if you're sort of unsure about your academic readiness and need some support in those areas, counselors can guide you into those types of classes that help to transition, especially from high school to college. So those might be an option. And then we also have deaf and hard of hearing services available. We have interpreters that are available for real-time interpreting within classes. They are available to help with student appointments with counselors, and we also have captioning services. One of the things that our DHH and High Tech Center do very closely together is they help the rest of the campus community make sure we are in compliance with captioning material, making it accessible to students. So that is something that those two departments work very closely together to ensure that students who have hearing deficits or are deaf have access to materials. And we create very specific accommodations for those students and work very closely with that team. And then lastly, we have a program called the Acquired Brain Injury Program. That is my program. I'm the head of that. And this is for students who have had some type of brain injury, whether that's a concussion, a stroke, a brain tumor, or really other types of neurological illnesses or injuries. I'm the person who helps with those students. Setting up your accommodations, giving some coaching. We have some specialized classes in that program as well, specifically for students who have had a brain injury. And so if that sounds like you, then I'm probably the person that you want to talk to. Okay, so I think I've covered most of the special programs that are here at the center. George and Leticia, did I leave anything out of that?
I hope my audio, I saw many comments and I apologize, I was totally unaware. But no, you came in perfectly clear and I think covered the most pertinent information. So thank you, Stephanie.
Okay. I know we have a lot of comments and a lot of questions, so I definitely want to make sure that we save time for that. As both George and Leticia said, our website, which is the main website, is www.smc.edu. And if you go to student support, you will see disability resources, and that will give you the links to all the special programs as well as some of the initial paperwork to set up an appointment with a counselor. You can set up an appointment, as we said, by emailing our office, calling our office. You can also go to Corsair Connect, which is your student portal, and you can request an appointment there. So just know that there are lots of ways that you can get in touch with us, even in this online environment. Services are offered a little differently right now, but we are still serving students and helping you with your accommodations. So let's get to some of the questions. And I'm going to read them aloud because all of you can't necessarily see each other or hear each other, and we'll kind of answer them as we go. Okay, let's see. Let's go down to this one here. So when do we reach out to get an accommodation for the fall semester, and how do we meet a counselor for transferring? Leticia, I'm going to give you that one.
So once you've registered with the program, and let's see, sorry, when do we reach out to get accommodations for the fall semester? So again, once you've registered for the program, ideally, we would recommend, this would be for the Center for Students with Disabilities. I'm not quite sure how it works with learning disabilities or ABI, and maybe both of you could speak to that. But we do recommend that students wait to request their accommodations until closer to the start of the term. So for fall, maybe, 2 weeks out from the start of the semester or within the first 2 weeks of the term. So that way we make sure that you receive any accommodations before you have any quizzes or exams for the class. I would say by and large, that would be the general rule. It depends, if there are some accommodations that require more coordination. Let's say, for example, like interpreting services for deaf and hard of hearing, or maybe some, conversion of textbooks to electronic format, then, it would be appropriate to make that request with more lead time. I would say you can check in with the counselor once you've registered for that semester to kind of talk about what accommodations would be appropriate. And then we can guide you from that point to see, when would be the best time for you to make that request.
Okay. Next question is, do you have to repeat all paperwork each semester or a year? So the initial paperwork, the application, the student rights, all of that is a one-time deal. You don't have to repeat that every year. What does need to happen is your accommodations do need to be done every semester for every class that you want them for. And that's why you do need to meet with a counselor. They are not something that just repeats on its own, because the accommodations are specific to a class. There may be times where you don't need an accommodation. You might be really strong in English, but feel really unsure about math. And so maybe you don't need accommodations for English class, but you definitely need them for math. So that is why it's important to meet with a counselor every semester. If you already know what those accommodations are, we can set those up before the semester begins. But you can request those accommodations at any point during the semester. So don't panic if you don't have them yet, or if you don't meet with a counselor before the, in the first week. If you want to see how a class is going and kind of see what the professor's like, then you can ask your accommodations. There's really no time frame around that. You will get some professors that will write it in their syllabus and say, you have to tell me within the first week of class. Please don't panic about that. That isn't actually correct, because you can ask for accommodations at any time. The only thing is that they cannot be retroactive. So you can't come back to us after the first exam and say, I really needed the accommodation, so can I take my exam again? You can't do that. It has to be before you take your exams.
Yeah, I just want to stress that assuming that you guys are all new students, that when you contact our office, that you send all the documentation already filled out. That's going to save you a lot of time because school starts next week and things start moving really fast once school starts. So the sooner you can send all your information in, then the sooner we can respond instead of having these back and forth emails trying to get on the same page. So send in your application, send in your rights and responsibilities, and send in your documentation. And if you do that, then you're off to a really good start. So I want to emphasize that.
Just one note as a counselor, I would just say I think it's important for all students to meet with a counselor at least twice a term, ideally once at the start of the semester, just to check in and see how things are going, obviously talk about your accommodation needs and get that ironed out. And then maybe midway through the term to, again, check in, see what progress you're making in the class, and also talk about academic planning for the next semester. So, certainly more frequently than that is welcome. It's always easier to address problems sooner than later. Oftentimes as a counselor, sometimes students come to us at the end of a semester during finals week. And unfortunately, there's very little, assistance that we would be able to provide at that time. But had the student come earlier on, maybe we could have talked about possible accommodations or other types of strategies to help improve the student's success. So I think, just as a new student, and this would apply to, any counseling appointment, whether with the Center for Students with Disabilities or outside counseling services, I think it is a good practice to meet with a counselor at least twice a semester.
So next question was about tutoring services. So there are many tutoring centers on campus. We encourage our students to utilize these tutoring centers because they are subject specific. There is a writing center for English, history, any of the sociology type classes. There's a math lab, there is a science learning center. All of these centers are accessible during the online learning as well. You can make an individual appointment with a tutor where they can share their screen, you can share their work with them. Being registered with our department, we can request a little bit longer appointments and even more frequent appointments with those centers. They have some pretty strict rules that they follow in terms of how many times you can access them and how long you can see a tutor. But by being part of our department, we can talk with the coordinators to request a little bit longer visits. So unlike some of the other special programs on campus, we don't have a specific tutoring for our Center for Students with Disabilities, but we do encourage you to use those regular tutoring centers. You can make an appointment for those tutoring centers on Corsair Connect. You can request an appointment there and be able to log in and talk to your tutor, just like if you were on campus. All right, next question. Will teachers be notified if we send in our 504? Should we also talk to them about it? So, George, you want to take that question?
Sure. No, students will not be notified. In fact, we have a lot of confidentiality requirements. It's something that we think is really important and abide by strictly. So nobody knows that you're participating in the disabilities program unless you request it. So teachers are not notified unless you specifically request that they be notified because you're asking for an accommodation. So for instance, you're not automatically going to get extra time. And just to make sure you understand terms, accommodations are anything that we do, like approving you for extra time on exams or digitizing your books, anything that is designed to help support you to give you access to the class is what we refer to as an accommodation. So for instance, if you need extra time on an exam, you have to request it from us, and then we'll notify the teacher that you're eligible for the extra time. It won't happen unless you notify us, and then where you're requesting it, and then we reach out to the teacher. Teachers will not respond to you if you go directly to them, and it won't happen automatically, because for one class, you may not need accommodation and may not want accommodations. So there'll be no information exchange with the instructor. So all of these things are initiated by the student, and primarily because it's a confidentiality issue. So your information is only kept in our locked filing cabinets in our office, and it's not released unless you initiate that. So good question. And that's why it's important that you get signed up with us early, and that you request your accommodations early from us, because there's a process where we have to notify teachers. So good question, and do that early.
I would just add to George's point that in our communication to the instructors, we don't disclose the disability diagnosis, only that students are registered with the program and eligible for services. So, that any specific information related to the student's disability is not communicated to the instructor. It's confidential.
I always encourage students, though, if you feel comfortable having a conversation with your instructor, and you feel like it benefits that relationship, then you're always welcome to do that. You are not obligated by any means, as George said, to share your information, share your diagnosis. That's your choice. But if you feel that it's helpful to have that conversation, I have found some of my students that has been helpful. Sometimes with my students, some of them do work out some specific accommodations. But the thing that we want you to know is that it is important that they come authorized from us. If there's something that happens where an accommodation didn't get followed, or you didn't get the right amount of time, and we don't know about it, we can't help support you. So that's one of the reasons for having them authorized from a counselor, is we want to help to continue to be an advocate for you and assist you in your learning. The other thing too is being registered with our program does not show up in your transcript. It does not show up in your records anywhere as you leave Santa Monica and go on to a 4-year school. So, don't worry about that. It is not something that follows you. If you are going to transfer to a 4-year school, you would need to be registered with their Center for Students with Disabilities and set up accommodations within that school. Accommodations are something that is protected by federal law. As a student, you have a right to those and a right to access educational classes of any kind. And that is regardless of if it's a 2-year, 4-year, public, private school, those are mandated across the country to have accommodations as a student. So just know that too, as you're kind of planning for your future as well. Okay, let's see if there's any other questions here. Yes, somebody had asked about working with transfer counselors and how that process works. Leticia, do you want to talk a little bit about academic planning?
Sure. So counselors within the program do provide academic and transfer counseling. Of course, students are not limited to coming to our office for that specific type of advising. Many students often participate in other special programs or also work with counselors in general counseling. So we, very open for the student, but we can certainly assist with those types of questions and planning if the student would like that.
Okay.
There was one question, I think, just to clarify. So about a student who already has an academic plan, I think if I'm understanding correctly, maybe they've already met with a counselor and discussed the appropriate accommodations. At that point, the student would all students would need to come to a counselor or specialist to make the request for accommodations. And we initiate that communication with the instructors. So just to, because the question is, do I need to physically give a copy of that plan to my professors for accommodations? But that's more just for your knowledge. Any request for accommodations would go through a counselor, would come through our office, and then we would communicate on your behalf with the appropriate faculty.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you can meet with any counselor in the program as well. You don't necessarily have assigned counselors. You know, George in the LD program has folks that are that work within that program. We have counselors within the Center for Students with Disabilities, the main center, but you can meet with any of us to get your accommodation started. Sometimes that's a quick, like 10-minute meeting just to get you going. Sometimes the appointments are a little bit longer if you're doing academic planning, like Leticia said, or transfer planning. But you can meet with any of the counselors for any of the things that you need. All right, other questions? I think we just about answered everything that was in the chat.
There was one, does needing a 504 form intake you as a student with a disability? So a 504 plan, so many students in high school have 504 plans. Typically that would make you eligible for services at Santa Monica College, but you'd have to send that form in with your application and rights and responsibilities, and then we would let you know if that was sufficient, depending on what was written on the form. But generally 504 plans are accepted as documentation for eligibility in the program.
I will also add to that too, that the way that accommodations work in college and post-secondary environment, as we say, is very different than high school. So in high school, the drivers of that are your teachers, your parents sometimes, you know, other folks that are involved in your education. But in the college setting, that is driven by you as the student. You have to initiate that. You are the person that's requesting those services and doing that communication. Your parents are no longer in the driver's seat, if you will. So if you want them to participate in meetings with you, or you have, you know, a family friend or even an attendant, those people are welcome to go to counseling sessions, but they do have to have permission from you to do that. As George said, part of that is due to FERPA, which is the Confidentiality Act that governs what we do with students with disabilities. So it is important for you to know that this needs to be initiated by you as the student. As a college student, you have that control now. So just know that as well.
I think that's a good point, Stephanie. And also on that the program is entirely voluntary. So as she mentioned, you know, you, the student, are, you know, initiating the request for services, opting to register with our program, which again is, you know, very different from high school. And hopefully when you schedule your first appointment with the counselor or one of the other specialists, we can kind of go over some of those differences a little bit more in depth, and also review this process for requesting accommodations each term. I did see one question about priority registration, which I know is a big thing for students. And yes, that is a disability accommodation, and one that's afforded to students and all students in our program for a variety of reasons. But yes, so that is something that you should expect to receive as a participant.
If we also have folks here who are new to SMC, meaning you just graduated from high school and this is your first semester, first of all, welcome to the college world. But if you have just graduated from high school, you are eligible for Smc Promise Program too. So you may have heard about this. This is the program that offers free tuition for new college students who have just graduated. This is for the first 2 years. You have free tuition for your classes. You have some of your fees waived. And if you qualify for a textbook voucher, that is available to you as well. One of the things that we have as part of our program is if you're eligible for Promise, the SMC Promise Program, you can take less than 12 units and still access that program. You will see that the requirements in general are to be a full-time student. A full-time student is 12 units, which is generally about 4 classes. But when you are registered with us, when you meet with a counselor, if you aren't able to be a full-time student and you can only take 2 classes or less than 12 units, we can authorize that and still have you be part of that program. You will have to take the same number of units for both fall and spring semester, but that will still allow you to be part of that free tuition. So if you are interested in that, be sure that you see a counselor. Be sure that you opt into that on your Corsair Connect. You have until that first week of September to opt into it. After that, it's not going to be available to you again until next year. So just know that you can participate in that program as well. Okay. Any other last minute questions? We are just about out of time for this workshop. Okay. All right. Any parting words, George, Leticia?
Welcome. Make the most of it. I can't wait to see you on campus. It's a fantastic college, and just happy for you, and looking forward to meeting you in person. And don't be shy. We're here to support. So take advantage of those emails, and we'll get back to you, whatever it is.
Yes, likewise. Welcome, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to speak soon. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, great. Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and enjoy the last week of summer here, and good luck next week. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks.